If they're just able to survive, then they win.
War, yeah.
And that's what's really challenging right now because they're surviving with cardboard boxes and people are cheering.
The FBI has issued warnings against a potential Iranian attack on the West Coast in California.
Well, the reason why there's so many lies that Tel Aviv is being destroyed and all these people are being killed is because there are overt miracles that are happening right now.
That's right.
There are hundreds of rockets are being shot into Israel and the world's looking, well, that should really decimate Tel Aviv.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Israel Guys, where we believe in a world of anti-Israel propaganda and Jew hatred. Man, a lot of that going around here. But you should be connected to the truth of what's actually happening here in Israel. Guys, it's so awesome to be back. Such a brotherhood here. Ari, Jeremy, Luke. I really look forward to this time every week to be able to just gather around, bring the thoughts of the week together. We were just asking, how you doing before the show? And I guess you guys have bomb shelters in your house. Our bomb shelter is, from my house, it's slightly closer than Luke's. Luke has to run. Is this like a
one-up? We can each one-up each other? Like, I have the farthest to run to the bomb shelter.
You definitely do. But do you have a ma'amad or a miklat?
It's the miklat, the big big shelter.
Okay.
So we have...
Because there's two levels. You don't know, most people don't have a
difference?
miklat. A miklat is like a real fortification. Like a big bomb could drop on that or near that and it's stronger. It's stronger. It's more fortified.
I don't know.
A mamad is a safe room.
Have.
A safe room.
Right.
That would be like shrapnel and stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think ours would survive like a direct missile hit.
Well, I mean,
I don't think many would.
Right.
It's a 5-story tall missile striking exactly. But anyway, hey, this landed right outside my home's door last night.
I actually heard it hit the ground from inside the bomb shelter.
Because it hit the pavement outside the door. So this is what's been happening. And, a lot of times this is kind of good for our team, actually, to realize that this kind of thing does fall because we're not in a direct hit path here. And you guys are not either. But what could happen at both of where we both live, our homes, is that shrapnel from the hits, right? Because this is something I want to point out right at the beginning of the show. Did you guys know that in Lebanon, really quickly, that when the rockets are going off, look at all this, I
was just going to mention, most of the shrapnel that falls is like this, and this is, it's metal, but it's fairly light.
And that's going to give you a headache.
Yeah. This would kill somebody, so you gotta be
that
careful.
would kill you if it hits
It's just heavy.
for sure.
Now, this is what I want to take point to, and I actually want to just, because this was such a, wow, I never thought about this before. In Lebanon, you guys just watch this video, because in Lebanon, what happens when because Israel's doing a lot of strikes in Lebanon. So when they're striking, the locals go outside and watch what's going on because they know they're not the target. There are strategic targets being hit in areas that have already been cleared, or at least leaflets have been dropped. Hey, we're coming to this area. So if you've not gotten a warning that they're coming to your area, you can go watch the show. I mean, that's what happens in Lebanon. Here in Israel, maybe they would love to see us all dead, the Iranians, but they're targeting civilian areas.
And they also don't discriminate. Meaning they don't care, there's this Arab village near there, this Arab village near there. That's small potatoes for them. Yeah, it's not like the Palestinians that they love, that the whole reason for this war is about the Palestinians. They don't care about them.
Last night, over 100 rockets were shot.
So I wanted to say last night there were real sirens going off.
Oh, yeah, all night.
And I walked outside because, there are a few other people at the farm last night. And so I wanted to make sure that they knew that they could come into my house. We have a safe room. And so usually this war I go inside, but this is the first time I actually turned and ran away. I walked outside, I looked up, and it looked like a cluster bomb.
Yeah, right.
That's what it looked like. But you can never really tell, at least in my eyes, whether it was a interception that caused the fragmentation of a missile, because the sky was filled with missiles. Literally, maybe it's where does the rainbow end illusion, but it feels like it's always right on top of you. It looked like it was right on top of us, and then fragmentation, and I thought literally cluster bombs were falling all around us. So I ran inside, got into the safe room, got the fire extinguisher, and that's what was happening last night. And it's not crazy to think this is the mood that they're in, is cluster bombs. How many cluster bombs have they shot?
Quite a few. We had for sure cluster bombs go right over our heads a few nights ago when We'll try to play the video. I think we put it on our Telegram group, or maybe it was our members group. But
no, but what's important, because you guys picked up a little piece of shrapnel, is that sometimes the shrapnel that falls are huge pieces of the missile that will like destroy a home if it lands on a home. It'll like totally ruin its roof. It'll be a huge
got this piece right behind me. This is a small piece, but there's massive pieces that have even fallen right here on our base. I want to show this really quickly because this was my earlier point. Was this watch this video? This is the Lebanese people going out and watching. A whole group of people. This is like at a restaurant, like some sort of pub or something, and they're all just standing out there and they're watching no fear. That's not what happens in Israel. And everybody, you just be watching this right now. And yeah.
تعال يا حسين تعال ناطر ها ده فقعة واحدة شفتيها أنا عم صور فقعة واحدة ها لك 3 4 يا إيه 5 لك هي ضاهية عم طولها يا زلمة ضاهية عم طولها
drinking their coffee
لك شو 5 6
smoking their
هلا بيطلع الصوت
hashish. They're smoking hashish, watching the show and they're not in Israel. It's completely opposite. Everybody, because everyone's a target. It's not just the bad guys are targets. Every civilian is a target, and so everyone has to run to the shelter. Just a completely opposite situation here. One is targeting civilians. One is targeting the enemy infrastructure, and that's what I wish the world would just understand. That's such a huge.
Ari, maybe you could talk about this story here, but you were mentioning before we started recording about the priest that was killed in Lebanon a couple days ago. And everybody's blaming Israel. Christian priest killed in airstrike, right? But this kind of goes into Josh's point of how things work. The difference between Israel fires on their enemies versus their enemies firing on Israel.
So I'll tell you the part that I know and the part that I need to investigate further. But I know for sure that this priest decided to ignore leaflets that Israel dropped. I believe it was in Marjayoun that this happened, or near there. But they dropped leaflets, and the priest said, "No, this is our homes, and we're not leaving." I don't know why. I don't know if that was like an ideological thing against Israel, or if he's just like, "This is we're here to stay. They have no reason to attack us." But the priest has been mourned in Israel, and the head of the South Lebanese army. I remember I was in the army. We were in the Shar Fatma going into Lebanon, and the South Lebanese army was there in Israel after they retreated from southern Lebanon, which is a horrible mistake. But when they did, they relocated and invited these Christians in the South Lebanese army to move and live in Israel. Okay. Oh, so horrible to Christians. They hate Christians. They kill. Who has ever done such a thing? A foreign South Lebanese Christian army. They allowed them to, and in Metula, and this army has issued messages saying that this is Hezbollah's fault. And the community there of Christians in South Lebanon were also blaming Hezbollah for this. So, but you listen to Tucker Carlson. I'm not saying we should focus on him, but he's like, Israel just killed a priest. I killed a priest. Why'd they do that? I don't know. But they killed it's just like, it's a very childish and Goebbels-like. I was just talking to Jeremy on the way here about this. We listened to the first 45 minutes of his podcast, which I just binge on. And you just listen to the way he talks. It's like spin, twist, distortion, lie, truth, distortion, twist, spin, lie. And it's like all mixed up together in a way where you're like, well, that's true and that's true and that's true. But when you're here in Israel and you hear things that are clearly blatant, obvious lies, you're like, oh, I'm able to now deduce from that what's really going on here.
We'll get back to the podcast in a second, but guys, I want to extend another invitation to you to join the Israel Guys member program. If you're not a part yet, what are you even doing? You can join for any amount as long as it is a monthly donation to the Israel Guys. It's what keeps our work going here. Everything we do is free. We want to keep it that way, but we rely on people just like you to support us monthly. And when you're part of that, you get to join our exclusive Israel Guys member Telegram group. And we've been having a ton of fun there lately. So many exclusive videos that are not available to the public. We take you behind the scenes, up close, personal. We share things there that are not available to the public. And we have a monthly newsletter that comes out. That's really cool. It's something our team works very hard on. Discounts, photos of the month, and a monthly live stream, private live stream with Joshua Waller, our executive director, his wife, and Ryan and Ashley as well. You guys get to interact, ask questions, hear behind the scenes stories and updates. If you guys join right now, you can get access to this Sunday's live stream, but only if you act really fast. So guys, join the Israel Guys member program. Click the link in the description below. Any amount, as long as it's a monthly amount, you support our work. By the way, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, so donations given in the United States are tax deductible. We'd love to have you as part of the Israel Guys member program. Join today, get access to this Sunday's live stream. Click the link in the description below. Back to the podcast.
So it's important to understand that here in Israel, I know just my own heart and the heart of everybody I know, there is a love for people of peace and love and Christians. And you could always focus on Rabbi Mizrahi. One guy, one off, like 2 Jews, 3 opinions, but this guy is like universally considered, or this individual, and hyper-focus on a 9-year-old kid that spit on someone and say that's what's happening in Israel. But you're Christians.
Well, I think what's really important is to just look at the big picture, that there have been no IDF soldiers so far killed in Iran, thank God. And there have been, 10 to 15 civilians killed in Israel. That's it. They are attacking the people of Israel. Every time Israel goes into a place, they're striking Hezbollah, a terrorist organization. They're trying to topple the ayatollah regime in Iran. And it's like, Israel killed a priest. It's like the one time where there's a sort of like a casualty that happens by accident, the world is up in arms. People are talking about it. But in its essence, Iran wants to kill everyone in the land. That's why we're at this war.
That's actually a point that I wanted to touch on and make sure, because it is always glossed over or not even addressed. Huckabee mentioned this to Tucker Carlson in their discussion, and it was just glossed over. But if we wanted to commit genocide, this war would have been over October 8th within an hour. It would have been done. We've had hundreds of our soldiers die. Why would we do that? Why would we allow our soldiers to go? Because we're so afraid of killing any sort of innocent civilian that we allow that to happen. But that is just not even addressed. It's not related to, when it's so clear. Fuentes is like, we're bringing in all of these supplies and the food so that it's like shooting crackers in a barrel. We don't need to do that. We don't need, and they all know we don't need to do that, which is where you can see the sinister twisting and distortions, because they themselves know that doesn't make any sense.
I see a massive miracle happening here with all the rockets, like we just talked about last night, and I don't want to miss this, and I want to get Jeremy's thought on how this is not happening anywhere else in the world. This is an obvious miracle for those that have eyes to see it. There's real miracle at play. 100 missiles were shot from Lebanon last night.
More than 100, almost 100, almost 200, like 180. That's what the latest numbers are.
One night, mass amounts, 100, whatever it was, 100 plus 200, whatever it is, into the Galilee region. There's hundreds of thousands of Jewish homes and families there. No one, it's been reported, no one was killed. Jeremy, how do you and that's just last night. And then if we look at the whole war, you just mentioned that the
Can I give the numbers real quick before we dive into that? Because I think this is interesting. Because last year, the 12-day war in June 2025, you had 550 to 600 ballistic missiles fired from Iran, 28 people killed, but there was 53,000 claims made to the government of damage, like damage to property, to homes. Mm-hmm. And reportedly, the Israeli government spent almost 3 billion shekels just giving compensation to citizens, right? This year, we're now on, I think today's day 12, right?
13.
Of the war? Mm-hmm. 13? Day 13 of the war. 600 missiles launched from Iran, 900 rockets and drones and missiles fired from Lebanon. And so far, damage claims are less than 10,000. So a fraction of what they were, and like 12, 13 people killed in Israel, which is awful. But I guess there's a lot of people saying that this war is much worse than the war 8 months ago. There's all these propaganda on social media, Tel Aviv burning over and over again.
Netanyahu's brother Ido was murdered, was killed.
Smotrich killed, Ben Gvir killed. It's like so much falsehood, like 10x, 100x.
Tel Aviv is up in flames, and that's why they're not letting any videos. And then I'm like, I just spoke to my sister-in-law that went to Tel Aviv. She's like, yeah, it was great. We went.
There's all these Israelis just like walking down the street, like, here's Tel Aviv. In case you're wondering.
Well, the reason why there's so many lies that Tel Aviv is being destroyed and all these people are being killed is because there are overt miracles that are happening right now.
That's right.
There are like hundreds of rockets are being shot onto Israel, and the world's looking, well, that should really decimate Tel Aviv, and yet still there's less than $10,000 worth of damages. No one's being killed. It's like a miracle of God that we are being protected in a supernatural way. There's no way about it. But I want to say something else, that the real miracle to me is, look, in this week's Torah portion, it says that Moses asked to see the glory of God. And God says, no, you can't see my face. You can only see me from behind. And sometimes you can only see the glory of God when looking from behind. You have to look at the past and then look at what's happening. October 7th, in some ways, saved Israel. Because imagine if we would have been up against Iran, the Hamas, the Houthis, Lebanon, all at the same time. I mean, we can, Hezbollah right now, after the Beeper operation, after the devastation, Iran, America's attacking Iran as well. If they all would have pounced on us at the same time with us not being ready, I don't know if Israel would have made that. Meaning, I don't know if we would have survived that. To see now that all of this is unfolding in what is seemingly the most merciful way possible that allows us to rise up and slowly neutralize all these threats. That a miracle is happening, that we were saved on October 7th.
That's right.
Had they coordinated, it would have been devastating.
Did you guys feel that? I remember in Judea, around Israel, I feel like everyone I was talking to had real moments of existential confrontation with how vulnerable we really are. Like that, this could, even there were days where it's like, this could be it right now. We're so weakened and disoriented.
But what I'm saying is that we didn't appreciate even how weak we were.
Yeah.
Only now are we realizing how powerful Iran is. Do you know how big Iran is? I didn't know. It's massive. It's more than 2 times as large as Texas. 90 million people. The largest army in the world.
Bigger than Texas.
Twice as big. Do you know what I mean? It's a huge country.
It's 90
and America
times.
is up and they're a full-blown attack against Iran, and they're still firing missiles at Israel. And so, had we been caught with our pants down, not ready, in some sort of delusion of peace, and soon there's going to be peace in the Middle East because we'll give over land and then we'll make peace, and then would have attacked us. I mean, it's unbelievable. We were so vulnerable and so arrogant at the same time.
Well, can I ask you a question? I'm sorry I interrupted. I'm sorry. I have a real question I don't have the answer to. I'm just throwing it out here for you guys. How is it that Israel has complete air control over Iran, flying at will? It seems like they're really decimated, pounded into the ground, yet they're still managing to shoot off these missiles, attack the Straits of Hormuz. Yeah. Who's making the call?
That's what I want
to know. Current ayatollah, they brought him in with a cardboard. He was a cardboard cutout.
I got some memes for you. But just to answer your question first, because, I saw, I have stats written down here. Israeli officials estimate that they've currently degraded Iran's missile launching capabilities by 80%.
Right.
But last night we had 2 alerts, and the night before we had 5 alerts. So
which is up because it went down.
Yeah, it did go down. 2 nights ago, 5 sirens in one night. We were like, okay, they've destroyed 80% of their launchers. Not feeling that right now. They're also saying that that could be reduced to as little as 5% in the coming days. What I've heard, I don't know how, what I've heard is that every time they have a missile launches, the U.S. and Israel immediately, intelligence locks on that missile launching site and immediately
because
it's
glowing red, like it's hot.
And also a lot of them are, they're coming out underground, or they're mobile missile launchers that are on the back of a truck.
So they've been prepping for this for a long time.
And it's also a huge country. Even if there's hundreds of planes in the air, you think about how massive Iran is, there's just a lot of territory to shoot missiles from.
My thought was banking off what Jeremy just talked about the miracle of the slow progression of this thing that is really Israel's survival. It's a miracle of God that this was slow and not all at once. And just thinking about that in light of the greatest enemy of Israel is now represented on stages and television across the world in a cardboard cutout. That's the way they presented themselves.
We've got some great memes. I'm going to give our editor
Luke, you did a little bit of
those up on the screen.
You did a little bit of research into this on why this would happen. Amit Siegel posted some things about this as well here in Israel.
The cardboard ayatollah.
Why would he come out in a cardboard? It would seem to me if you had a falling regime, you would come out in a wheelchair even if you could. There's thought that maybe...
Yeah, can I read this?
Go through
excerpt?
The whole thing, yeah.
And if you don't know, Amit Siegel is one of the forefront conservative commentators in Israel, and he has a really great newsletter called It's Noon in Israel. Comes out every day at noon.
It's fantastic.
And it's power, information packed. He said, Iran had its own comedic moment this week when a life-size cutout of Mojtaba Khamenei, I don't know how you say his name, held together with tape. I thought this was AI, by the way. I didn't think this was real. Was carried on stage to roaring crowds at the Tehran Allegiance rally in Revolution Square. and state media broadcast regime loyalists hailing and swearing allegiance to a cardboard Khamenei.
And get this, Luke, they also couldn't sit down because say if someone was to stop clapping, then it would have been seen as disloyalty. Do you know they clapped 11 minutes straight?
Not well.
That's what happened. That was
Someone's like,
different.
I'm going to
Different.
be the
Different.
first. I'm going to be the
They
first.
literally, so they had to clap to him. Yeah, it's hysterical. Yeah.
According to Iranian state media, Khamenei sustained leg injuries in the initial U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. The injury, but then he's like, if he sustained leg injuries, in what world is it better to carry a cardboard cutout of you on stage instead of being rolled out in a wheelchair? So his conjecture is that possibly the strike that took out Khamenei Jr.'s legs might have actually done a lot more, and he might be in a coma and not even be aware that he is the new ayatollah.
I mean, if I was being up for ayatollah, I think I would have to be in a coma state of mind to accept such a, like, he's obviously, nobody's saying me, Babylon B
So
saying,
basically, like,
they're stockpiling.
He was appointed 2
leaders.
days ago. He hasn't made one appearance, one speech, one video, or written statement. Like, nobody's seen him.
It's really
Nobody's
hard
heard him.
not to see the correlation between the Book of Esther and this. How this is all playing out. What did Haman do? He built the gallows to hang Mordecai, and he was hung on those very gallows. And here the Ayatollah and his whole family and his whole world of people are establishing this nuclear program in order to wipe Israel off the map. And that very nuclear program is the reason they were wiped off the map. And they're sitting there all together, and a missile falls on them. 10 sons of Haman were hanged, and his sons are being systematically wiped out. Like, to not see the correlation between what happened in the Book of Esther and what's happening right now, and to see that this is really about light and darkness. It's almost like I was thinking about it when Adam ate from the tree. Before eating from the tree in the Garden of Eden, he was a being of light. And what did he want to do? The sages of Israel say, I want to get the whole theological debate about it, but he didn't want to walk with God and receive all of this goodness for what? For nothing. He didn't do anything. So he wanted to eat from the tree to infuse within himself this evil inclination, then he could overcome it. And whether that was right or wrong, it was clearly wrong because God wants our obedience. But in the end of the day, throughout history, there's a sifting out of good and evil and good and evil. And now we're in these days where we're seeing good and evil face off in this way. And I think that's what we see playing out. And we need to understand it through a biblical prism. Otherwise, it doesn't even make any sense.
Well, the real challenge with that is, like, what is victory for Iran?
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like?
Annihilation of Israel, right? I mean,
to me, the answer is just survival. If they're able,
you're saying to survive?
Yeah, if they're just able to survive, then they win.
War, yeah.
And that's what's really challenging right now because they're surviving with cardboard boxes and people are cheering. It's a real problem because, like, their regime is still shooting missiles. They're still calling the shots. They're still putting a lot of pressure on Hormuz, meaning how are we going to actually defeat them because all they need to do is survive. Israel needs to win. America needs to win. And Trump is already declaring victory. And that's really problematic. Like, what does that even mean?
I got to say this, you can't help but to see Saul. Right? What happened with Saul is he was commanded by Samuel, wipe them all out, and he didn't do it. And Agag survived that night, and that was enough to keep Amalek alive. And now Iran and all of history, from Haman to Hitler to the Ayatollah, just because we did not follow God's commandment to wipe them out. And that was why Saul lost the kingdom, which is why I want to actually say to you guys, and it's a testimony to the depth of our friendship, that we didn't even talk to you about this, and I'm just springing this on you, but Jeremy and I would like to make a formal announcement.
Are you ready? You hadn't even told us about this.
We haven't even told you about this.
We've been
but
begging,
this is a
what are you
very,
doing?
very big deal. And I want to say it right here and right now because it just ties into this perfectly. We have, after a lot of prayer and reflection, realized that what is one of the great callings of our generation right now? To bring knowledge of God into the world. And who are we to do that? We're nobody, but who is? The prophets of Israel, Isaiah and Ezekiel and Jeremiah. When you read through Joshua, Judges, Kings, the prophets of Israel, you're able to see everything that's happening now makes sense. And so we are now launching the prophets of Israel daily.
Ooh.
Every single day, Jeremy and I are going to put out another chapter. So for those people that have read a few chapters here, a few chapters there, and really want to experience the entire journey of the prophets of Israel. That's what we're doing. And this is not, there's no charge. This is just, if you want to be on this journey with us, join the journey.
That's fantastic.
And so we'll put the link below.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll put
what I just want to highlight that. It's so powerful because last week we talked a lot about the Temple Mount, and then I went home and just my daily reading, I'm reading Isaiah 2, and I was like, boy, that would have really been impacted the show if I'd have read that before, because it's just all about the Temple Mount and a reality. And when people from a religious perspective, these voices in our world today from a religious perspective are talking about things that are just absolutely not in alignment with biblical values. They're not in alignment with biblical prophecy. It's not in alignment with any of the prophets of the Bible. And when you go and you just read the Bible, especially with you guys, to be able to say, hey, here's some Jewish thought on the way that this has been understood for thousands of years. Jewish people have been studying this for thousands of years. It can just bring such light and truth to the world in a very complex misinformation world. The Bible, I think so many billions of people around the world can agree that the Bible, it holds the answers. And so I think
the prophets is something, I know you have this in Jewish circles, but I think it's also in Christianity that a lot of people have a tough time with the prophets. They don't read it, or they read it and don't understand it. It's confusing. And so I think the opportunity for people to actually understand the prophets and how they're relating to our time, because I know, like, before I ever came to Israel, we came to Israel, like, I didn't understand the prophets.
Right.
But when you connect prophecy to reality and to what's actually happening in our times right now, it makes so much more sense.
Right,
So
and we're sharing our thoughts, but it's not in the place of the actual prophets.
I was going to say, are you actually are going to bring back prophecy to Israel? Is this the goal? Are you guys?
Well, Isaiah chapter 2 that you says the Torah will go forth from Zion and the word of God from Jerusalem.
That's right.
You're like, well, how is the word of God going to go from this land? And there's really only one book that says, "Thus says the Lord," like the word of God.
Okay.
And
we need that.
Yeah, let's bring that to the world, and then the cards fall as they may. The truth will be revealed for everyone. What's the side of truth? What's the side of falsehood? How is this world all playing? And so that really is the vision, because the world, everyone knows about the Bible, but systematically going through it every chapter, once a day, every day, from the beginning to the end,
starting
all
Isaiah?
the words of the prophets, starting in Joshua.
Starting in Joshua all
in the
way.
very
That's
beginning
awesome.
of the prophets, all the way through.
It's already changed my life. And that's why there's an assignment. It comes with some responsibility. The real suggestion is not just to show up and listen to what we're saying and sharing that, because we're going to go into the actual text very deeply also, but to read the chapter. We are not a replacement for that, right? The words of Samuel the prophet that wrote most of it, and the words of Isaiah, Ezekiel, you can't look to us as a replacement for that. You read the chapter, and then we'll join together on this journey. And we want to hear from also everybody. You have thoughts. You want to hear more of a thing, less of a thing. This is a journey that we're taking together. That's the reason we really did this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like the Judean diet. Why did I start the Judean diet? Because I wanted to lose weight. Right? Why did we decide to do this? Because we wanted to do it for us.
Yeah, that's
to
amazing.
really go into the text. And we said, this is not, we don't want to charge anything for this. This doesn't belong to us. Right? This belongs to the world, not just to the nation of Israel. We're custodians of it, and we've held on to it, but for a purpose, to share that with the world. So you could reach out also. You could reach out to Tabitha at thelandofisrael.com.
There's just have a link below where
there's
they
a
can
link
sign
below
up.
also, but if you have
below.
any challenge
We'll
with
put the
that,
link
you
down
could
below.
reach out also. Yeah.
I want to say, I just to highlight this point again, is a reporter from the New York Times contacted me this week, and so I had this interview with the New York Times, and they were talking about, so what is going on with the Christians? They've got these Christian Zionists and the Jews, but then the Christian Zionists, are they really because is it not just all just based on Jesus is going to come, and then you're no longer really Zionist anymore because you're just in it for what you want out of it, and so. This New York Times, of course, they're just trying to pit people against each other. They're trying to say, well, you're not real friends of Israel, because you have your own agenda. I said, well, no, actually, I from my perspective, this is a Jewish story, and it will be a Jewish story, and it was, and it is, and it will continue to be a Jewish story. And I'm just happy to be a part of the team. And I don't know how that's going to actually show up in the text of the article.
That's what I was wondering.
I'm not going to be written off as some kind of absolute idiot.
Who else can I call?
Yeah, they're not going to put anything that, of course, makes us look good in there. But it just highlighted to me again that this is a Jewish story, and it always has been. The whole book is a Jewish story, and that this kind of opportunity for people to learn biblical truths from Jewish rabbis is such a critical need.
It's not a Jewish story.
Oh, come on.
You think this is a Jewish story?
Look at the
That's
Bible.
like
How
saying
much
that the story of the temple is a story about Kohanim.
No. I think listen, it encompasses
I just
the whole
want to explain
world.
what I said for those that don't know the words that I just said.
Yeah, of course.
I said, we're reading about the temple and the tabernacle, and that's just a story about the Kohanim, the priests. Why? Because they were the administering in the temple? No, this is a story about all of humanity.
But let's say it like this. Is it an American story? Is it a Chinese story? Is it an African story? No, the Jewish people are leading. That's what I'm trying to say. The Jewish people are leading
I would
a story.
say yes to all of the
It's
above.
Isaiah 2.
Yeah, but
Starts
you can't
in Zion
say
and goes forth to the nations.
People,
from there.
I have a big problem with people that look at the Bible as a prophecy to America. It doesn't work. It doesn't, like when you take the whole book and you say, oh, this is a prophecy about New York and the Twin Towers. And no, the prophets of Israel weren't looking at New York or drones flying to California. There's going to be some Christian that's going to say there's some prophecy, that's told that drones would fly
Leave
to
it to
California.
Jonathan Kahn.
I mean, I'm not a bash to him. I mean, it's just not.
I
The
think
book
it's
was
a
not written
mistake for Americans not to think that it wasn't written for them too. God is speaking to America
But
in the
without
Bible through the prophets.
You're correct, I think, but without the focus and the emphasis on Zion,
Here's the problem.
Jerusalem.
You're right. Yeah.
Then-
But there's also an independent message. Think about Nineveh, right? God
Nineveh.
sent God sent Jonah to go and tell the people of Nineveh. No, so why did Jonah run away? Because he was afraid, the Jews are such a stiff-necked people. You try to warn them and they're like, kill him! And we're so rebellious and stiff-necked. And he was afraid that the people of Nineveh would actually listen to God and repent, which is actually what happened.
But their pathway to redemption was through a Jewish prophet from the land of Israel, from the God of Israel.
And I would say that their repentance was stop killing Jews. That would be part of the repentance.
Part of the repentance.
They
but
were the
there's
most lethal, deadly force against Jews there was. And that repentance led them away from
Okay, you know what?
attacking,
But I
killing.
disagree with you. I just do. Because think about the Canaanites. Why did God say to Israel, go and dispossess the Canaanites of the land? The land belongs to you. However, if you follow in their ways with the depth of evil that they're doing, then you don't deserve the land either. Meaning that there is also a message of morality to the nations that they are responsible for. Perhaps there's a Jewish prophet that will come to warn them, but that doesn't mean that God is not looking at every single human being with expectations of righteousness, with believing in humanity. And that's, I think, part of what the message of Israel is to the world. We're the chosen people. What? For what? What are we chosen for? To teach the world that they're all chosen. We're God's chosen in order to
Chosen for
empower the
what?
nations.
I would say
I think we're getting off on a theological.
No, but this is
chosen-
a good discussion. It's important.
chosen, and Rabbi Jeremy's going to have to get on this, chosen to be a part of the Jewish story. That's what I would say. The nations can be a part of this story.
I think
But
it's
it
a
is
global
still
story.
It's a global story,
It's a
but the
global
Jewish people are
story,
leading the story.
but-
It's all about
But it
Jerusalem. which is the
starts in
epicenter.
Jerusalem and goes out to the world.
How about
from there.
chosen that they can be a part of his story? We're all a part of his story.
The God of
and that's not the
Abraham.
Jewish story. It's the story of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and
That's right.
Jacob, the God of Israel, who is the God of the world. And do we want to play a part in his story? Because a German roofer in Berlin has the ability to play a serious role in the unfolding of redemption.
I believe that.
Just
That's
a
right.
simple man.
But he can't do it and direct and reject Jerusalem.
I want to try to just make shalom. Because what Josh is trying to do is he's trying to fight against replacement theology, where there is an entire world of people that will respect the Bible or respect religion and say, oh, this has nothing to do with Israel. Now Rome is the new Jerusalem. Now the Christians are the new Israel. This is all about what's happening in their world, and the Jews have nothing to do with it. And Josh is saying, no. The Jews haven't been replaced. They are still the center. The prophecies are being fulfilled through them. This is a part of that. And you can now be a part of God's story, but don't ever try to replace the Jewish people. It still has to do with them. They are chosen and was an everlasting covenant, and that covenant hasn't been broken. But what you're saying is like saying, well, we've been chosen in order to be a blessing to the world. It really is all about the world. So you're really saying the same thing.
We're saying
You're just coming from two
I think we're
different
saying
angles.
similar
I think, yeah.
things, but I'm also saying
Here's
that
the thing:
if
is
the
I
nations
usually don't disagree with Ari, so it's just taking the opportunity.
and it's fun. It's an interesting and important discussion. But I think if the nations really return to the truth of the Bible and they don't say, the Old Testament, no, but they
Right,
actually dive in and understand this is the word of the living God of Israel, then they will be pulled towards light and truth. And then they will look at what's happening. And even if they're not necessarily supporting Israel from a place of biblical Genesis 12:3, he who blesses Israel will be blessed, if they have a real compass about what is light and what is dark, and what is truth and what is false, and what is kindness and compassion, and what is evil and murder, then they will be supporting Israel when they just look at who we are fighting against. What is it? You don't hear from Tucker Carlson about the 50,000 something, that's what I've heard, 50,000 civilians that were murdered, about the girl that was a 16-year-old girl that was just hung as a punishment for being raped and acid thrown in their face. He just wants to conflate conservatism in America with the ayatollah and say somehow they're the same thing. And Israel has transgender story time hour with one hand, and then we're messianic people that want to build a temple on the other.
What the Bible...
Wow, that was a tirade of ADHD.
What the Bible does is it gives perspective of time. That this is an ancient war. And Trump just declaring victory, it's like fast food warfare. It's like, all right, 2 weeks, we're in, we're out. It tastes good. It's under 30 minutes, and we're moving on to the next thing. Like, wait. This is an ancient war. It didn't start 2 weeks ago, and it didn't start 2 years ago. This is really a battle between good and evil. Yeah. And when we reference Amalek is just a force of evil in the world. It doesn't mean that we have to kill every German, but Hitler and the Nazi regime, that needed to be stopped. The Ayatollah and that regime, that needs to be ended. That needs to be done with. And until we actually recognize that that's evil that needs to be wiped out, then we're never going to win.
I have a question, and I would throw this to all of you guys, because I saw an opinion piece this week that said, and I thought it was really enlightening, because it said, and I'll just paraphrase it, people fight against Israel because they don't understand it was the basis of it. They look at Israel and they say, out of the ashes of the Holocaust, a nation was born. How does that happen? A nation was not only born, but it was born after 2,000 years of destruction and desolation and pogroms and evil. How does this miracle happen? It defies, the very essence of just normality in the world. It doesn't make sense. 100 missiles, 200 missiles flying, no one's killed. 13 days of flying over Iran and no soldiers are killed. It's a massive war. Israeli soldiers are not dying in Iran. No soldiers have died in the Iranian battle. It doesn't make any practical sense. And therefore, because of the, like you said, how'd you say it? The miracles, the
overt miracles.
Overt miracles that are happening. My thought here is that, so if they can't digest the fact of an open miracle, then they have to create another realm. They have to say, it can't be open miracles because we don't really believe in God. We don't believe that this could be happening. So in order for the Jews to get these kind of results, they've got to be pulling strings in the background somewhere. And then that leads
forces
there's
work,
demonic things at work because they don't believe it's God. Conspiracies open, and then they're like, and he's pulling strings with presidents and leaders around the world, and the Jews rule everything because nobody else in the world has these kind of results. And therefore, they become an enemy of God, an enemy of the story. The open miracles don't make sense to them, and therefore they fight against it. Jeremy, do you feel like that's true? This was an opinion I saw. I feel like that's very true, and the reason why these people are fighting so tooth and nail against Israel and the Jewish people could just be based out of this.
Well, it's
framing.
just like fundamentally, I believe that Isaiah calls Israel God's witness, and as long as the Jewish people exist, we are a witness that God exists. We are his people in his everlasting covenant with us, an eternal people. We just defy laws of nature, defy the laws of history, defy the laws of war. I mean, never mind a soldier not being killed. There hasn't even been a plane malfunction, meaning it's thousands of kilometers of flights every day, hundreds of planes. We are defying all laws of anything rational. And so you have to believe in the super rational, or you have to believe in conspiracies. Mm-hmm. So those that are connected to the Bible, they're going to say like, okay, I see now. There's something special about these people. There's something that's unique about these people. There's something that is supernatural about them. That's the only way to comprehend it.
As a Jew in Israel, I can tell you that you look at that, the world looks at this exceptional, technical difficulties, perfect precision beepers, and then they look at October 7th and they're like, what? That degree of overwhelming, negligent incompetence on the one hand, and then the beepers and the Mossad, and it had to be a cover-up. But as Jews from the inside, we know, nope, it was just one moment where God was like, you know what? I want you to see what this looks like when I'm not interfering and intervening on your behalf out of my love for you despite your undeservingness. This is what that looks like. And that's what was happening there.
Well, that's just so beautiful because so many people see October 7th as some sort of conspiracy that the Jews did to themselves. And really, it's a beautiful manifestation of what would happen when God's covering and his shielding and his protection and his providence is just removed. There's hester panim, there's a hidden face that just God hides himself for just a day. And then you can see the devastation that would naturally happen to October 7th. And again, I only feel like now do we realize how much protection there still was. The fact that it wasn't a coordinated attack is just miraculous. Every day we need to be thanking Hashem for such a miracle.
Yeah. Talking about coordination, Luke, I just want to throw this in there because this was super heartwarming for me. And I guess it kind of awakened that there is a little bit of patriotism in me and to America. And I guess I just say this because it's been hard. I've grown up here in Israel since I was 14, and a lot of that time in Israel, I remember very clearly. The Obama was elected, and I'm in Jerusalem, and there was a weight of like, will America stand with Israel? And it was like just I was a very young teenager, and ran two terms under this, and it was just a lot of hardship. And so my feeling back to America growing up is they're resisting Israel and the way I believe Israel should be treated, and so therefore I kind of lost a little bit of that patriotism to America because America was not aligning itself in my biblical view of what Israel is and support. And so when I saw this video, I think it kind of touched my heart in a way because I saw the good of America and its cooperation with the people of Israel, the people of God, in fighting against the most radical anti-God, anti-Israel, anti-American regime. And I want to play this because talk about cooperation. This is the cooperation that I love. I want to play it.
Mobile 97.
Go for 97.
It is a great honor for us to fight with you. You're doing a great job.
Thank you very much. Likewise, gentlemen. Please be safe out there. Strike hard. See ya.
This is two fighter pilots, an American fighter jet and an Israeli fighter jet. This is their communication that was released to the public over Iran. To me, that's just amazing. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I'll tell you, it reminds me of Pete Hegseth's speech that he gave. And at the end, he quotes Psalms. Yeah. And he blesses the soldiers that are all fighting now on behalf of the side of good. And to me, that was just the heart of the United States that could have been lost with the Obama administration because the United States can kind of go one way or the other. But right now, they are so aligned with the Bible, aligned with the good. It really is something to take pride in.
And I'm sort of surprised when you said, this shows there's a little patriotism in me. I think there's a little bit more than a little patriotism in you. I know for me, there's a lot of patriotism.
You're only allowed one fight with Josh per podcast.
No, but I feel very patriotic for America because as a Jew, you have to zoom out. Yeah. You have to zoom out and you have to see the greater picture. And America has been a bastion of blessing and safety and security towards the nation of Israel, towards the Jewish people, from Jews fleeing the Holocaust. Yes, that happened with Roosevelt and he turned them back, the USS St. Louis, and there were things that are dark, shameful blemishes. But as a whole, America is a country that I believe is aspiring to goodness, to righteousness because of their biblical foundation, and they're being assaulted with all of these different perspectives and all of these Tucker saying this is Christianity and that's Christianity, but I think there's a deep desire to be good and to be true, and they have a long track record of falling down on the side of goodness and morality in the world. And so if I had two lives, listen, Israel is my nation, it's my people, it's my land, this is where I belong, this is my country, there's no two ways about it. That being said, if I had two lives to give, I would give one for America too, because I feel tremendous gratitude and patriotism for that country, and I'm praying for their better angels to emerge, and it seems like they are right now.
Well, I'll tell you what's really telling is that most people see this as like a war of Western civilization against this radical jihad ayatollah regime, but it's only America and Israel. The NATO countries, even though American bases have been attacked, Cyprus has been attacked, Europe has pretty much stayed on the sidelines. And the only people that have risen up to take on this dark, evil regime is the United States and Israel. And that's really telling. It really shows that there is like a common heart there, common values that are still standing strong.
There's two headlines that I wanted to bring up really quickly, and that is that Iran boasts it has destroyed hundreds of U.S. missiles with its buildings. And secondly, Iran warns U.S. it has huge stockpile of supreme leaders.
Right.
That was okay. That was.
I appreciate you adding me to this group, this Hayuval group.
That's all from the Babylon Bee. You got to give the Babylon Bee some credit every now and then.
Josh, there's a cool
Luke,
story.
I did want to introduce. Yeah, I did. think you had
I just
along these lines.
talking about cool stories. And we always try to keep things positive. And we put polls out on our platforms yesterday, and everybody said we want to hear what's happening in Israel, and we don't want to hear about what's happening everywhere. And so, anyways, like people want to know what's happening biblically, and they want to know what's happening in Israel, because even though people do watch like Fox News, they're also on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and they're like everybody's going Tel Aviv's burning, Tel Aviv's burning. All of Israel's leaders have been assassinated, and they're like, what in the world is going on, right? So they want to know what's actually happening. I thought this was a really cool story from the Jerusalem Post of a senior IDF officer talking about the details of the first 40 seconds of the war. And he said, assassinating the supreme leader and all of the top echelon of the Iranian military and the IRGC in around half a minute was made possible by a giant and incredibly coordinated airstrike, which took months of planning. In 40 seconds at 8:15 a.m. on February 28th, Khamenei, IRGC commander Pakpour, I'm not going to say all the rest of these guys' names, but the military commander, defense minister, National Defense Council secretary, top aides, and 35 other top officials were killed in the first 40 seconds of the war. And it took 200 aircraft, all flying 1,000 to 1,500 kilometers to strike hundreds of targets, all in just a little over half a second.
That was news to me, and I think that's news to the world. That must just be breaking, that all of that happened within about 45 seconds.
And that was like force and power that like has not been seen in a long time. You're talking about U.S. military,
possibly ever,
Israeli military, F-15s, F-16s, F-35s, all coordinating together.
I think of old world wars. That's how you won the war. You took out the other leadership. Today, it seems to be a little different game going on here, but it would definitely not happen in 45 seconds.
Right.
It's just miraculous to me.
Well, I feel like as long as the Basij, which is sort of the military protection of the Ayatollah regime, has Kalashnikovs, they're the ones that are going to be calling the shots. Until we actually figure out a way to topple not just the political leadership or the spiritual leadership, but the actual people holding the guns that are holding the people of Iran under hostage, then they're the ones that have the guns.
Yeah, well, it's clear to me that if you clap for 11 minutes straight, it's clear that people are scared to still not to disagree with the leading faction. Luke, you had some intelligence, or you just you got some intelligence, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That the U.S. is estimating that the regime is not yet at a crumble point.
Oh, you're talking about the California might be a danger?
That's what I wanted to bring up.
No, I'm talking about the Iranian regime, not the California regime.
Oh, well, that's
that's a manifestation of
Which story are we going to here?
No, so if we're talking about the Ayatollah regime, it's just really important to note that even though they attacked so many Arab countries, not one Arab country yet has joined in. All eyes are on Iran. Is the regime going to stop?
Right.
Is it going to topple? What's going to happen? So they don't want to make enemies right now because they see like, those missiles were targeted at us. Mm-hmm. And so China's watching, Russia's watching, all the Arab countries are watching.
Right.
And really, for Iran to win, they just need to survive. Mm-hmm. For America and Israel to win, the regime has to be toppled.
Right. And
now, U.S. intelligence, this is just one report, is indicating that Iran's leadership remains largely intact. It is not at risk of collapse, even after 13 days of the war.
And their leader is displayed in cardboard.
And their leader is being held up by tape. Yeah.
It makes you just question, is that from the State Department? Where's that from? What is that intelligence based on?
I do think that for the regime to collapse, there's going to have to be a massive element of the people of Iran. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think it's only going to collapse from outside sources. I think there's going to have to be the people of Iran have to rise up and force again and make that happen.
Well, it also could be that California is going to be attacked, and that would just change the game.
Whoa.
That would massively
change. So
let's
just talk about what
are the details?
That's referring to. CBS, ABC, Reuters, everybody's reporting this, that the FBI has issued warnings against a potential Iranian attack on the West Coast in California in specific, that there would be a ship off the, in the waters and fire drones out and just barrage the West Coast with weaponized.
How would they have a ship? I thought they didn't have any ships left.
I guess they have submarines. They have ships.
they?
No, I don't know if they have any. They could just take a ship from Russia.
That's
They could
what
take a ship from
Oh,
China.
right,
They don't know.
right.
They
Yeah,
got
so
a way to get a ship. But what's important is that America would learn when they chant death to America, when they chant
mean it.
death, well, yeah, they mean it. And if they can, they will.
And what's interesting, and this is a report from before the war started. The FBI says, quote, "We recently acquired information that as early February 2026, Iran allegedly aspired to conduct a surprise attack using unmanned aerial vehicles from an unidentified vessel off the coast of the United States homeland, specifically against targets in California." So this is like something they've been tracking for a while, even before the war broke out. Obviously, nobody knows. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's crazy. Iran can't reach California from it's like 7,000 miles or whatever." But they didn't read the details of. They're saying no. There's like a unidentified vessel that we think is like lurking off the coast of California.
I saw Megyn Kelly say something that was very telling and very confusing for me. She said, "This is Israel's war. No American should have to die for Israel's war. Think about the consequences here. Think about how many Iranian sleeper cells we have here in America."
She actually said that?
Yes. Like who knows what they'll do? And I'm like, did you hear what you just said?
You just
there are
said.
sleeper cells from Iran in America. Isn't it better right now that this comes out on our terms rather than theirs? Right? If they're, think about, that's what I wish Trump would say. People need to understand that Trump should say, if you could only see what would happen if I didn't do this, you're hating me for this, but I'm saving the country and arguably the entire world. They were going to launch weaponized drones now. And if we hadn't done this, that's what would be happening right now.
The reality is, all right, there are sleeper cells in the U.S. I just saw this pop up. I don't know if you saw that.
You got to show that.
We'll put it. Don't worry. We'll put it on the screen.
Is that too political?
There's this other. Did you read this yet on the show?
No. That
I mean,
was
today's
fantastic.
just like the day for memes.
I
Everybody-
think that's,
2026, the year when women in pants drop bombs on men in dresses. I think that was epic. We'll put
Well, I
that
think
on
they're,
the
they're
screen,
writing that specifically to infuriate the ayatollahs. They hate women, so the fact that
Josh, I just pulled up the news while we were recording to see if anything had happened while we were recording, and I thought this was it's just a more miracle stories. That's what we like. That's like the main thing we like to put on our channel is when really positive miracles happen. And I saw this: a house in a moshav in Emek Hefer was hit Wednesday night. So last night there was actually a house struck by a missile barrage launched by Hezbollah. And the house, the rocket hit this house, and the only spot that was not damaged was the safe room, which the whole entire family was inside.
Could you
Which
show
is
this picture?
obviously-
Look at this picture.
Yeah, which obviously like that's the that's the point of a safe room, right? But sometimes direct hits by missiles, especially ballistic missiles,
We
safe
saw that in
room
Beit
doesn't
Shemesh.
even protect
They were
you.
all in a safe room. All 8 of them.
So missile hits a house, destroys the entire house. Yeah, we'll show the picture up on the screen. But the entire family was safe inside the one room in the house that remained intact.
wow.
Also, brand new, 10 minutes ago, Iran launched their 4th ballistic missile salvo at Israel since midnight.
So we're probably getting an alarm here in a minute.
Right. Anytime now.
Hey, you guys hadn't been in our bomb shelter yet.
It's about time.
You
So
might
we just
make
can't
it.
take the audience with us.
I do want to mention on the show that this is a big deal about the crisis in California with these. Who knows what could be attacked, but the drone threat. This hasn't happened since the Russian threat against U.S. in the 60s. So this is a really big deal. America has not faced threats of any kind like this. I mean, we had 9/11, but an actual drone attacks, missiles being launched, bombs being threats of infiltrations like this at this level have not happened since the 60s. So this is a really big deal that threatens California. And I think we mentioned the threat, efficiently, but I just want to say this is a massive change in America. In my New York Times interview, he asked, "Well, what do you think about all these people that are anti?" I said, "Well, they were anti-Israel before." I said, "I believe that these anti-Israel people are going to have an opportunity to actually see the truth, that Israel is the best friend America ever had as this war continues, and as Israel is successful in defeating Israel's America, not only Israel's greatest enemy, but America's greatest enemy. Hopefully, these people will be able to see the truth as it relates to what's actually happening and stop being anti-Israel." That's what I told them. I really think that there's an opportunity here for people to see the truth, that Israel's the greatest friend America has ever dreamed to have. I said, "Listen, Pete Hegseth has been saying this. It's not just like a this is the truth of what's actually happening. So when these threats attack America, I think it's a great opportunity for us to be able to voice, hey guys, you do realize this is now indeed America's enemy, just as it is Israel's.
I just think it's just so interesting that the regime was so locked on death to America and death to Israel. Like they've been separated out because in some ways, Israel and America are the last countries that really represent the Bible.
Mhm.
They really represent God's ways in the world. That they really represent at least the heart of what it is to live and build a society based on the values of the Bible. That's why they're being targeted. And so the fact that now America's kind of under attack, or at least under threats of being attacked, it's just waking up. People need to ask themselves, like, why was this regime so locked in on death to America, chanting it for more than a decade? What did they hate about America? They don't share a border. They don't really, I mean, there's no real conflict in theory. There's only conflict in theology. That's really the issue.
Yeah.
But you don't think that this would be damaging, though, for an attack on California? You're saying people see that Israel's the best friend, but the Tucker Carlsons, the Candace Owens, they're going to be saying, look, we're paying a real price for Israel's war. That's what the whole narrative's going to be.
I'm saying the common people have an opportunity to see some common sense realities.
So what would you say to that?
Though?
What would I say to?
What would you say to that? Meaning, I don't think that it's Israel's war. I think that President Trump is doing what's best for America.
Yeah.
Period.
That's why it's very damaging, I think, when Israeli politicians are saying, thank you, Donald Trump, thank you. Stop saying thank you. Either it's in America's interest or it's not.
You're
and if
saying
America
you should be welcome. You're welcome. You know.
No, not even you're welcome. It's like, let's do that. We're doing this together. We're glad that you see the reality of this threat towards America. Right. You see the jihad against all of Europe, against America, against everyone that is not Muslim, that this is a theological war going for everybody, and that you're joining us in the tip of the spear in uprooting this evil before it attacks America. Thank you for joining us, but we would do this one way or the other. That's critical, but that's what my answer would be. That these attacks, they were planning this drone attack from a long time ago, before this happened. They've been planning the destruction of America for a long time, and Trump has enough courage and sober clarity to be able to see that and attack the global jihad. Clearly, Tucker doesn't think there's a global jihad because he's on the side of the jihad. You heard him say it before. Israel against all of these Arab countries, we're talking about hundreds of thousands, millions to one. So I forgot the numbers that he said, but that's not much of a fight. He doesn't know that God sent home all of the Israelites because he said there's too many of you. You need to be so outnumbered as a testimony to my protection and strength going through you. And so he doesn't see that. So he's just looking at a schoolyard fight, and he sees the jihad and the whole Arab world, and he sees little Israel. He's like, I'm with them. It doesn't matter morality, not morality. I want to buy a house in Qatar. I want to be on the side of those that will ensure that I have the most safety and security. It doesn't matter morality or not. And now I'm going to build a house of cards around that. That's what it's really about.
Yeah. Can we end with, I know we just have a few minutes left here, about prayer. Can we talk about prayer for a minute?
Can we show this video?
I want to show that video.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. IDF soldiers all gathered. I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of IDF soldiers all gathered together, and this is praying. And Jeremy, maybe you could tell us more about what they're praying here specifically, but they're praying before going to war. What nation on the planet Earth gives a prayer to God before going out to war? Wow. The IDF does.
Well, you know, they're saying we believe with complete faith in the coming of the Messiah. That's what they're saying.
And although he may tarry, we will not cease waiting and believing. And not only are they waiting and believing, but they're actually going into battle to fight these forces of darkness. But I think it's just so important to understand, because a lot of Americans are so westernized. They're like, oh, they're messianic wackos. They're messianic wackos. But the understanding of Messiah, from our perspective, and theirs couldn't be more different. Their messianic redemptive vision is that the trees say, hey, the Iranians, Islam, the jihad, is that every tree says, hey, there's a Jew behind me, come kill him. And they're able to wipe out man, woman, and child. Our prayer is that the enemies of Israel, that the entire world opens their eyes and says, we're brothers, we're family. Let us build the temple. Let us go worship the God of Israel as one human family together, loving each other to the degree that we'll be beating our swords into plowshares. That is our dream. It's like just light and darkness is about what these soldiers are praying for. They're praying for peace and love for all of humanity by the Spirit of God infusing the world. And they're praying for the jihad and murder and genocide.
That's awesome.
There's one more prayer that I want to mention is, and I'm sure you guys are praying it every day now, in Jewish synagogues all across Israel. There's a prayer for the IDF, but there's also a prayer for the soldiers of the United States as well. That prayer I just learned from the local community here in the Mount of Blessing, that it's been incorporated in the prayers, because, I mean, I guess a lot of times they're praying for the IDF, but because of the cooperation now between the IDF and the U.S., there's also a prayer for the U.S., the military, the U.S. Soldiers that has been incorporated here locally. And I don't know if you guys have anything to say that.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it seems like it's covering.
I grew
up
in Houston, Texas, and in my synagogue every single week, we would pray for America, for the government, for the armed forces, for the people of America, for God to pour his blessing and his light upon this great nation. I grew every single week. In my Jewish day school, we were praying for America.
Well, I didn't grow up in Texas. I grew up here in Israel, and that had never happened before. I have never prayed for American soldiers in my life until now, where they've made a call out.
It's not
saying,
just you, right?
No, it's not
the whole
just me.
nation.
It's
Every synagogue across the whole country.
Synagogues across the country have incorporated prayers specifically for the American soldiers that are fighting alongside the Israeli soldiers.
It's amazing.
And so it's really a beautiful thing to see.
It's awesome.
That, because the real spiritual power behind this war is all in prayer. And the way it'd be like, how are all these rockets being thrown onto Israel? Like, the real Iron Dome are the prayers of the people around the world, the prayers of the people of Israel in this land. That's the real Iron Dome that's protecting us. And so the more prayers, the more that we can cover this country with that, the more protected we will be.
I just think that it's amazing, because if this community here is praying this prayer, that means every community. This is the most authentically Jewish, in essence, community. We're uncompromising, very Zionistic, very Israeli. It's not like an American, cultured community here.
Sure.
I just think it's absolutely beautiful that these prayers are going up all across Israel for not only the Israeli soldiers, but also the American soldiers. It's phenomenal.
Well, guys, the more videos you see on social media talking about Tel Aviv burning and Israelis being killed and assassinated, just remember, it's not happening. It's not true. You're hearing it directly from the source here in Israel, so stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, to all of our platforms. We are putting out more on like Telegram and X, so we'll put those links if you want to follow us there. Follow Jeremy and Ari. And make sure you sign up for the, what's it called?
Prophecy Daily.
The Prophets of Israel Daily. We'll put the link down in the description below. Guys, as always, stop listening to the lies and propaganda and connect with the truth of what's happening in Israel. We'll be back soon here at The Israel Guys.